Thank you, John, for having us here, and then such a great audience here. Really happy to be here, and we have an incredible panelists here today. I think I got introduced, right? So Roshani Bhatt, Managing Director with Data and AI within Accenture, 750,000 people across the globe, and I do provide client services to our Fortune 100 clients, mainly on the data and AI aspects. We're just going to go right here. So Carol, you want to go introduce yourself?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Carol Kim. I work at IBM. I'm a Director of Technology, Data, and AI. So I get excited every day getting up to learn data discovery, data integration, data-driven insights. That's what motivates me every day. And I like to leverage AI to help eliminate, simplify, and automate a lot of our internal processes. Nice to meet you.
Hello, everyone. Can you guys hear me? All right, great. My name is HsingHsing Li, and I'm the COO of Accelerate AI. We're a company that helps large enterprise clients also drive ROI with AI. And so we solve gnarly problems using AI as a technology, and we're really happy to be able to do so and measure those results. Very happy to be here. Thank you, everyone, for having me.
Good morning. My name is Jinjun Xiong, and I'm an Empire Innovation Professor at the University at Buffalo, and with the Computer Science and Engineering Department at the UB. I'm the Director of Institute of AI and Data Science, and also the Scientific Director of the National AI Institute for Exceptional Education, and where we advance AI to help children with disabilities. Nice meeting you.
So for today's discussion, there is a lot of definition of AI. So just to ground everyone, very quickly going to define what is AI, right? AI would be a machine-based system that will allow, given the set of human instruction, that will allow it to predict, make recommendation, and then influence decision-making in virtual or real-world scenario, right? The AI-based systems are autonomous to a certain degree, meaning like, they will take actions and get to do certain things without the intervention of the humans. And we're like seeing very, very much AI is being integrated in our professional life and then also in our personal life, in our domestic life. So what that means is AI is changing the world, and it's going to change the world much more. I think we have just started seeing the impact of the AI and how it's going to change the world. Right, so with that being said, I'm going to ask my panelists, how is this AI technology different than other technology leap that we have had in the past? Dr. Jinjun, do you want to maybe start with your perspective?
Sure, thank you. Being a professor, I always want to define things more precisely. And the reason being that AI is an overloaded term right now, right? Every talk about AI, people means differently. So for example, machine learning, right? And data mining, deeper learning, generative AI, what's the difference, all of this. So I want to give people some simple terms to remember what is AI, right? And of course, Roshani, your definition is kind of totally okay. But from the computer science, I want to give you some very concise definition, right? Artificial intelligence means some kind of a machine, which is computer programs, that can do things based on the task with some kind of metric. You have to measure the quality. That it can learn, means once you feed more data, the metric for the task getting better. That's why you see the learning aspect. That is kind of defined as AI or the machine learning. But why it is so different now compared to other technology is this intelligence part. Anything, we do a lot of things like getting better. Of course, it's learned. Why AI is different? Because right now you can think of this AI need to be do almost as good as human or even better than human. And that's kind of the power of AI, but also the scary part of AI, right? Because why compared to other technology like internet or maybe even the older days, like industry revolutionary, right? Or the automobile vehicles and the mobile phones. Why we don't feel so scared about it, or don't feel like empowered so much? Because we are now compared against technology with human, right? This is the first time something is really have a existential kind of threat to our human being, possibly if we don't use it well. I think that's kind of the differences. And AI is powerful, but AI could do something wrong as well. I think that's kind of the way to think about what is AI and why it's so different from other technologies.
Yeah.
I
do
agree
you
with
wanna-
that very much, because I think AI in this phase is also mimicking some of the things that we're doing. It is either following a pattern of tasks that we're performing. It is thinking as in we have trained it to think in a way that follows a human pattern. And I think those are some of the concerns that we have as well, right? First of all, we're in a space where we're changing so quickly already. I think as we were developing our careers, we saw in the presentation just now how all of these seismic events have really flipped some of our careers and some of the technologies we use in 180 degrees. And because of that, the technologies we now choose to use amplify the effect. And AI is kind of in that vein because to a certain extent, we control a lot of it, but there are certain types of AI where we don't control 100% of it, and that's part of the concern, right?
Yeah. I'll just add to
Absolutely.
that.
Sure.
I think ChatGPT just pushed it over the edge for everyone.
Yeah.
It's now just accessible to everyone. AI has been around forever, since 1950s, and there has been many hypes, but this hype right now with ChatGPT is everywhere. And I don't think it's going to go anywhere soon. I think the hype's going to stay.
I
Yeah.
actually think we're maybe at the peak of the hype, of the hype cycle. I think, New York Times coming out with articles about, how products are being released, not fully fleshed out from OpenAI and others. The types of mistakes that continue to occur, and that there may not be an end in sight for things like hallucinations. So I think, what I'm seeing with clients as well is that, again, able to apply generative AI in pockets, in specific functions, but maybe not the kind of, it connects everything. Obviously we have data problems underlying that. Not being able to connect everything to get to maybe the scary part of things yet, right? We're not quite there yet. It's not going to be overnight.
Yeah, no, absolutely, point very well taken. And we are clearly seeing the AI solutions hitting the market very quickly. It's getting very iterative, released of the product in the marketplace. And there is a competition right there. I mean, I work with a lot of the ecosystem partners, vendors, and there is a little bit of a fear in the market that if you are not releasing the AI products, if you're not releasing your product that is more like AI enabled, you might not be in the market tomorrow, right? So there is that fierce competition of being wiped out, getting wiped out is there, and then there is that, okay, how would I compete, and then how would I become very market relevant, and then doing these products release in a very incremental fashion too. I'm going to switch the topic a little bit here. Right, and in our global studies, we have seen women are being typically paid less than men. They hold less prestigious positions in the corporations or in the society. And when I say prestigious, like higher level positions, right? And then there is a lot more expectations on the domestic side of being a caretaker, at home for women. And now with this AI revolution that is coming and that is going to change the world, Like how is this first going to impact the labor market, and then how is this going to really impact the women, right? Maybe HsingHsing, you can start with that, like with your perspective.
Yeah, sure. Maybe I'll start with a question to the audience. How many of you use AI at work? Let me see a show of hands. Well, that's the majority of the room, right? Studies have also shown that we're bringing AI to work, but I would also say that we're privileged in being able to do that, right? We know that there is a digital divide. There are folks that don't have access to a lot of these capabilities. So to your point, Roshani, I think if we are looking at labor, which there's still lots of unknowns of how this is going to play out, one of the aspects is that the divide is likely to grow larger, right? Those of us who are leveraging tool sets will learn more about it, hopefully build capabilities and competencies on leveraging it, but those who have not had access will fall further behind. And more specifically, in terms of women, as you mentioned, I think if we have lower percentages of women in STEM, as we were very well aware, I think that is also going to be a concern that we need to catch up in that space as well.
Yeah.
I think one silver lining in there is that as you see around the room, and those of us who are here, we're training the next generation to be better versed in data, right, and to be able to have a balanced view on some of the biases that do come up from these technologies, and provide input so that we're hopefully better represented. Because we know that it's sort of like the amount of data that goes into these tool sets will often define the balance of what comes out. Right? So outside of gender, I'll just mention maybe some common examples that you guys might know. Right? So for example, a lot of the models are using English-based data. Very obvious. Like most of us here are multicultural, maybe multilingual as well. You're not going to get very good results if you put information in that's in French, right? Very obvious example. Same thing for, you guys have seen about facial recognition and certain races not having as high of a level of accuracy. So same thing for, you guys have heard about the biases in scanning resumes and male candidates being selected much more often. Right? So unless we're involved in that process and defining the initial values for what is evaluated, then the outcomes are going to be, I guess there are options for us to be involved in compliance and all of that afterwards, but hopefully we're involved early on in defining the success of these programs.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sure,
Okay.
Go ahead.
Actually, I want to add a few things here. I think this is, okay, take a more positive view. I think there's a great opportunity, actually, for us to address this issue. And also, we can address this issue from the source, right? Why there's less women in this to get this high-paying job, right? Why less women or minorities in this STEM education? I think AI actually can help. And let me give you a few reasons. The first one, I think, this is for the first time, AI becomes a very sexy job, right? Very sexy technology. And this is a great thing, because now you can inspire more kids, more young girls wants to go to a STEM education, so they can learn the technology. Because only when we have more young girls, right, into the STEM education, we can really have a better workforce for the future. That's the first thing. Second thing, look at what is holding back women go to the work. Because women are patient, they can do a lot of good things at home, right? There's a lot of things they need to take care of at home. A lot of those work is repeated work, right? And that's why maybe AI, once get developed, they can free them up, right? So they can do something wonderful later as well. So combining these two forces together, I think there's a great opportunity for AI to do something good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's Xing, it's a little bit of a joke that I'd seen, someone was asking, why is your model so biased? And then they said, like, because it's based on real world data. Right? So, so I think the key there is like, we as a women need to get involved, right? Because, like if you're not involved, like the example that you gave, right? The selection of the resume, the pipeline is like small, and then there is a bias in selection of like the resume, the hiring process, and that has been going on. And you train the model on the real world data, like what is the model going to do, right? It's going to mimic that whole situation. So like identifying that, and then making sure that like you close that barrier, right? So just on that note, right? We are seeing that AI adoption is generally low in women. There is a very interesting studies though, like so the women in higher position are doing AI adoption equal to their male counterparts. But as you go like lower in the ranks, junior women, there is a huge amount of gap between their AI adoptions and then their male counterparts, right? So a question there would be like, how would we look at bridging that gender parity?
Yeah, I'll jump in there as well.
Sure.
I think those of us who are technology leaders, I think this is our role, right? I think AI is both a tool, but also likely a kind of transformation that we will lead through organizations. So that means it is, okay, you find use cases for transformation, you find opportunities to drive automation, right, and train models, but also it is for us to change the culture, right? So there are a couple of components to this. Yes, there is, okay, will you be open to change in terms of now you will be augmented, supported by AI? But there's, the obvious one, which is, well, are you afraid of AI taking over your job, right? And there's also like a little bit of joke of, it's not AI that's going to take over your job, but a human who's using AI that's going to take over your job, right? So I think a lot of us have heard that one. So it is, I think, a combination of how we look at the technology portion, but also enhancing our cultural change and capabilities within an enterprise to really close that gap. Right? So I'm still talking about at large organizations and large companies, but there's also the education setting as well, where we're training the next generation and giving them opportunities to showcase their work. I think I was reading a story about Satya Nadella, obviously CEO of Microsoft, and he had a couple of high school students create an app essentially for his son who has a disability, and this was like many years ago. So I mean, like him as a leading technology CEO is like giving these types of opportunities to young folks to really get involved and really be hands-on early on. And I think those are the types of opportunities that we can offer to folks who are excited, but also maybe folks who are questioning the technology and just need the opportunity to see how they can hopefully take the optimistic route of leading this transformation, right?
There's a LinkedIn article that's been getting a lot of hits about an artist who said, I want AI to do my laundry and dishes for me, not AI to write and do art for me, right? So that I could spend my time doing art and writing and have AI do laundry and dishes. And it raised a very important discussion around what do we want to leverage AI for? How do we want it to improve our lives? Where do we want to focus on? And it also created a debate about everyone should be able to use and understand AI data and be literate so that it doesn't impact your work-life balance and work as your profession. So there's so many advantages of AI being out there with education, right? You have affordable access to all these different types of education out there that everyone could go and leverage. Think about how you could learn languages these days versus 10, 20 years ago, right? How you can take a data science class online at the comfort of your own home versus having to sign up for a class and go to college, right? So I definitely think it's something that people need to embrace and learn more about and become comfortable with it, because I don't think it's going anywhere. And there's a lot of studies done about men versus women and how men are more risk-taking versus women, and it shows it's not true. They're equally risk-taking. It's just men talk about different things. They talk about the outcomes. Women talk about all of the troubles that come to risk-taking. So it comes off as woman is not as risk-taking. So I think we just need to have more role models of women in the AI space, more leaders that they can follow, more education available to everyone, and let everyone embrace it.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want to add anything?
No. I think this is a very difficult challenge, right? It requires all kinds of efforts to address it, in terms of gender gap. But I think there's some hope.
Allyship.
Yeah, I mean, you bring a really good point, Carol. Like now, like with LinkedIn, if you see it, there are classes in AI from Stanford University, from MIT, from NYU, all free of charge that you can take, right? Along with the classes from Google, Microsoft, AWS of the world. So that education opportunity is there, right? And then to your point, you can take that online at the comfort of your home in your own time and get yourself updated with the AI. I recently went to the Databricks Summit where there was a great discussion between the Databricks CEO Ali and NVIDIA CEO Jensen. And one thing that they emphasize is this is not the time to see the show from the sideline. Right? This is the time to jump in and get into this exponential ride. If you're like sitting on the sideline and seeing the show, that's all you would be doing, right? So get yourself out there, start learning, and start like practicing using AI in the manner that is going to help and enhance your life. And then to a point where, we tell this to all of my employees too, it is time to disrupt yourself, right? I think Dr. Carol mentioned earlier, question the status quo. It's like, it is not like how you have done your work last year and you had a huge success. That's how you're going to do it this year. If you start doing that, you're going to fall behind, right? So there's this notion of like, you need to go and disrupt yourself with AI is there, because if you don't disrupt yourself with AI, someone else is going to come and disrupt yourself. So you might as well start disrupting yourself versus letting someone else and then be yourself in a very reactionary position, right? So with that being said, there is a lot of things that AI is bringing, and we touched this a little bit, but like maybe with a little bit more focused discussion around what is it about AI that we should be excited about, and what is it about the AI that we should be a little bit worried about and start taking some proactive steps so that it's not going to the negativity is going to come and manifest. Carol, do you want to take that?
Sure. There's so many new career opportunities in this space, right? This whole profession was not existing when we were studying in school. The chief data office, chief analytics officer, chief CDAO, there's so many titles now, you could just make one up, right? These are all new professions, meaning people had to learn and become proficient in this space. My background, I have finance background. I moved into this data space only 5 years ago. And for me to be, I'm humbled to be able to say I'm a director of technology, data, and AI, right? It was a steep learning curve, I'm not going to lie, but it's doable. If I could do it, you could do it. We talked about all the learning opportunities, capabilities. I fell in love with the data space, right? The data discovery, the data quality. There's a lot of data privacy ethic issues along with AI, but data is foundational to all of it. So for me, I stepped into this world from data and made my way up to AI. And if I could do it, you could do it too.
Fantastic. Do you want to add, Jin?
Okay. So for me, I think one thing I feel like I'm most excited about AI is the possibilities and also the enthusiasm around AI. Now look at here. Everyone seems like knows about AI. Going back a few years, like 10 years ago, no one probably even know what is AI, right? There's so many other technologies you're probably not interested in at all. But now it seems that everyone is talking about AI. This enthusiasm about AI is great because that means that there's more investment into AI. More people think about how to use AI to make a difference. So I want to give you an example here in like the work that we are doing here. So as in my intro mentioned, I'm the scientific director for the National AI Institute for Exceptional Education. So I don't know how many of you know this, right? This is a National Science Foundation program. And nationally, we want to advance the artificial intelligence to make the US to be the leader in artificial intelligence. And nationally, we have only 25 such National AI Institute. And we are the only one to focus on using AI to help children with disabilities. And it's almost impossible to think of. Now people try to use AI to help children with disabilities. Maybe you may be afraid of. But let me give you a very specific example. What we are working on, right? So how many of you knows right now? Or maybe just raise your hands, right? How many of you have worked with, maybe yourself, your families, or someone, right? Worked with a speech-language pathologist? How many of you? Yes, okay. So this is the audience, about 10%, 20%. Right, in the US school system, do you know how many children receiving the speech-language pathology services? Anyone take a guess? It's about 10%, right? But the given numbers is about 3.4 million at least. And do you know how many speech-language pathologists do we have in the US public school system? It's less than 61,000. So simple math, 3.4 million divided by the like less than 61,000, right? If assume all the SLPs, they do not take any break 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. Every child only receives about 4 to 5 minutes intervention services. That's not enough. That's what we say, can we use AI to help? That's kind of what we are doing at National AI Institute. And that's $20 million investment from the government agency. And that's not enough even, right? So then we are so fortunate because everyone is enthusiastic about AI and they see the potential to use AI to help. That's kind of what I'm most excited about. Then what I'm most worried about is also about the excitement. Why? Because of the expectation, right? Why we have the 2 AI winters before? Because our expectation about AI sometimes just get hyped too high, and you didn't realize the technology, what the technology can do, right? So that's I'm very afraid of people. Maybe you set up too much high expectations, and yet this wave of AI cannot deliver it. And then it could be another AI winter. That's what I'm most afraid of. But there's something we can do, which is education. That's why we are come here, right, to educate people. And also we are doing a lot of things at the University of Buffalo too. We go out to our communities, teach people about AI. Let them know what AI can do, what AI cannot do, right? Why you should be afraid of AI? Actually, what is something you should not really afraid of AI? There's more investment, more understanding of AI is better for us. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you hit the point really well there, right? From my perspective, I think like AI is going to do great things, and it will benefit like some people tremendously. And I'm very, very excited about that, right? Like it's like a little bit unclear who is going to benefit tremendously, but I'm a great believer that it's going to benefit some people tremendously. life-changing benefits. But what I also worry about is I want it to benefit everyone tremendously. And if we're not going to participate, it's going to be a very small set of people that are going to get this like tremendous benefit, reap the tremendous benefit, and then others are going to get left behind. And then that I don't want that others to be like women, the minority women, right, who are going to be left behind and then create this like very desperate like parity. That's why like I think awareness is very important. Getting that pipeline from the education, right, like getting that young women, getting them interested in STEMs and the AI is very important. And then building that pipeline, right, because sometimes we hear like, well, there isn't that many qualified women. It's like, no, there are qualified women. One, we haven't done a great job building that pipeline. And then second is like there isn't a whole lot of good sponsorship to identify the right women with the right skills and then mentor them, right? So just getting involved in the AI, like I think everyone should get involved and then like think about the benefit that you're going to reap and then be really like cognizant about when you're getting involved, like you're not leaving anyone behind. Right? So with that being said, this is the women's conference, right? So what should we be most excited about with data and women and in future, right? Like so AI with women and future. Carol, you want to take that?
Sure. Career opportunities are tremendous in this space for female entrepreneurship as well. Think of all the free legal advice you could get now, financial advice. They even pick out your clothes for you so you don't have to go shopping. They send you food through the mail. There's all this opportunity for you to leverage time to learn more about AI by leveraging AI. And I think that's one of the great opportunities that we see in this space. From a household perspective, a personal perspective, education for my children, right? It's been tremendous, keeping them entertained or giving them additional supplementary work to do and having them see things that you couldn't have seen in the past without traveling. I think those are tremendous opportunities on a personal level.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I
think for what I see is that AI is going to be our go-to assistant, right? And this is particularly relevant for those of us who are knowledge workers. I mean, all of the things that we've talked about are, data and all of these things are for knowledge workers. And Carol, you made a point earlier. Who's going to do our laundry? Like, so when perhaps robotics or other areas of AI finally come into play to intersect sort of the physical world. I think we haven't heard as much about that in this phase of our transformation. When that happens, then I think it will be more like the science fiction books that we read. But right now, I think it is still leveraging these tools for things that we might already do in a computer world, right? Like our searches, our Excel spreadsheets, those types of things. So those advantages will continue to multiply. And as you mentioned, Carl, I think there are going to be a shift in the type of leadership that we will need for those who are kind of defining the organization. But I think maybe our organizations might shift as well. Like we'll have agents that work with us who may not have a physical form, right? But we'll, just like we send tickets to folks now who are remote, we will be sending those types of things to an agent who is an AI assistant, right? So I think all of those things should help us feel more satisfied in our jobs, create new roles, and for women in particular, I think we're likely to hopefully adapt more quickly to these types of situations as well. And I hope there'll be more female leaders coming out of this as well. I definitely see a lot of CDAOs, to your point, who are women. And I think data is a great space for women because we're detail oriented, right? We're able to get into the weeds, and so I think there are a lot of opportunities across the board for those of us who are in mid-career as well as the women coming behind us.
So let me offer one advice for everyone, okay? So of course you use AI, or you feel like AI is very far away from you. Okay, let someone else, geeks, right, in the tech sector to develop technology, I'm going to use it. No, that's not the case. Because the AI is so powerful, it's going to change everyone's life. In fact, you can contribute right now. And why? Because let me tell you right now what we are doing, right? Because for any technology you are developing, human is at the center, right? And for example, right now we use AI to help to scale the speech-language pathologist. You know who are on our team? Not only computer scientists. We have SLPs in our team. We have special education teachers in our team. We have educators in our team. We have parents who have children with disabilities on our team. They are all contributing ideas. They're helping us to shape technology. They're helping us to define what is the problem we should solve. They're helping us to validate our solutions. They are already part of our team. They're already contributing to the AI. So all of them, before they think, oh, that's not my thing. So right now, you know what? Actually, they become our experts. We computer scientists go to them, ask for advice, ask for what the problem should I solve? What is the problem you try to solve, right? Tell me, educate me. What are the things you are working on? Then I can see technology can help you. So they are actually at the center of all of our solutions. So which means that all of you, no matter whatever the profession you are in, I think you can help us to develop better AI and shape the future of AI. I think that's the great opportunities for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, we should all get involved for sure, right? And help shape this, because if we're not, then someone else is going to shape it for us. One area where we're seeing like very strong contribution from women is more on the ethics sides of the house. This is a global study, I'm not saying yet, but like it shows that women are more ethical and more responsible, right? So when it comes to talk about like responsible AI, right? That's where, because AI, we talked about all the great things that AI can do, but along with the great things, if AI is not used responsibly, ethically, it can do all the other things that are not so great too, right? So in terms of shaping the responsible AI, right? In terms of shaping the governance and adding ethics behind responsible AI, I think women can take a pretty big role in that aspects and then shaping it too. I just one area where I just want to put the plug in with some of the strong strength that we are seeing. We have talked quite a bit here, but we have a great audience here with us, and definitely do want to take some questions from the audience too. Ooh, there's a lot of hands going up.
Hi everyone, my name is Jia. I work at Unilever. I was born and raised in China. If you don't know what is Unilever, we are a consumer goods company that produces different kinds of consumer goods, such as Dove, ice cream, Ben Jerry, Good Humors, etc. I also am helping with the professional development for agents at Unilever BRG. So the first question I have is I just want to piggyback to HsingHsing Li's comments earlier. So you mentioned about the Gen AI result might not be as great as when you type in different language. So my question is that, so how do you incorporate the different culture, language with the result that you generate with AI? Because, for example, like in US, maybe the most popular coffee brand might be Starbucks, but in India, it might be brew instead.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, that's my first question.
I think I'll take a stab at it, but I think those are the aspects that why there is going to be a new set of careers, right?
Yeah.
We will, many of us will be involved in fine-tuning the existing models for it to be much more specific towards a problem and a data set, and probably also for an audience. So exactly right, we need to know, actually Meta came out and said that, those of you guys who have WhatsApp, right? You guys have the little Meta AI assistant in there. Well, they've launched it in English. It's going to take them a while to launch it in those other languages, as we mentioned, because there are these specific cultural aspects that they have to tune for. It's not just like the data and scraping the web at large, but you will have to say, yeah, when we mean coffee in one culture, it might be one brand versus another. Yeah, exactly.
And it goes back to what Jinjun said. I mean, who's creating the code, right? That's why we need more diverse representation, not just age, not just sex, not just race. We also need, and that will help us develop an inclusive technology that can be used by all.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for the great advice and the feedback. And my second question is that as Asian or Asian American, do you feel like you have to carry yourself differently in U.S. corporate world? Because I feel like I did initially, but I don't feel like I did it correctly.
I can talk about that. Yeah, you do, right? Because if someone says no, right, because sometimes it's, generally, I think as an Asian woman, you are not very assertive. You want your work to speak for yourself, and guess what? It doesn't. The work is work. If you are not speaking about your work, someone else is going to come and explain the work that you did as how it fits into the overall picture, and take credit for that, right? So one thing, and I've personally learned this in my career too, right? I think all of us do really great work, but we're shy about talking about our work, right? So go, talk about your work, and then also seek advice and guidance too, because sometimes you may be doing great work, but how is that work going to portray, or how is that going to change certain things? Getting that guidance from others would maybe change the trajectory of the work, and also the trajectory of your career. And then one thing I would also say is, I have been very fortunate in my career. I had great mentors and sponsors. I'd say look at your junior people if you're at that level, and try to sponsor someone, right? And the sponsorship makes a huge difference, and bring that next leader, next future leader with you, right? Or help to develop that future leader.
I'll add to that as well, Jia. I think for one, I want to maybe do a little plug for New York as well, because I think New York, Buffalo is going to have our supercomputers for AI. We have recovered from the pandemic really well, and we've grown more AI jobs here than San Francisco, as I've heard. So I think there's a lot going on here for us as Asian Americans, for the New York economy, et cetera. And so maybe that helps us to be able to lean into it a little bit more, right? That we can perhaps find more common colleagues who've experienced what we have, maybe lean into the stereotype that we're better at math and maybe data and et cetera, right? Maybe lean into those aspects more, right? And maybe not act differently, but find your confidence in that.
Okay. So then did you have to? Oh, sure. Okay.
Hi, I'm Miao Yi from IBM. So Roshani, you talked about women seem to be more adept at contributing to ethics for AI. I was thinking about there's one field, one subsegment of AI, and I think that we all have to jump in and contribute, particularly Asian women, mainly because I think women and Asian as well, you kind of experience bias, like double whammy. So I think we all have to get in there and make sure that the AI is programmed in such a way that it doesn't have that it takes away that bias. Because as we all know, right, if you're all in STEM, you program, it turns out what you program into it. So, so I don't know, Roshani, if the study also indicated that bias and discrimination and stuff like that, whether women of color can contribute even more.
There is absolutely bias, right? And then that's why I made a little bit of a joke earlier, but there is some truth to that joke, right? Like, because why is your model so biased? It's because it's based on the real world data. There is absolutely bias. And to your point, I think initially when all of this started, it was a very much male dominant society, right? So maybe there were certain ways of doing things, and that just got carried away. And that's why we have to question that status quo. That's why we have to get more involved, right? And we have some strong, great male allies too that have recognized this, and then they want us to get involved. So, there is bias. I don't know if there is a specific studies that has shown women, Asian American like that, but there is absolutely a bias with minority women, right, and just women in general. And the only way, in my mind, to raise that bias is for us to get more involved, get our voice being heard in the right place and in right times. Does that help?
Okay, thank you so much. Hi, I'm Kate. Thank you for the great panel discussion. That I'm a director of the AXA insurance company. Used to be chief customer officer in AXA. So by the way, so I wanted to ask you about the other things about the diversity, etc. Because currently, besides my work, I'm exactly like you said. I'm taking the classes of the MIT AI technology, and then having the 3 children, but it's possible. That's great. But so when I was working for my work with AI, I have never thought of it, but now I'm learning as a student, and I recognize AI must be the kind of the risk to standardize of the people, the things. Because once we work for some case study, so many similar outcomes from the students like me, professional people coming up. And I'm just worrying about, not as a woman or diversity, etc., for my kids, because they're touching the AI, Gen AI from the very young period. And then once they write something, so they're gonna fix it in a very beautiful way. Like my essay, I never use it, believe me, the professor, I never use AI from the first to end. But actually, there's such a beautiful, finalization by AI might impact in a bad way for our younger generations. How do you think of it?
Okay, so this is a tough question, So of course, using AI is a tool, right? You use the tools to train your next generation talents, right? There's always some positive side, potentially some negative side, kind of what we are worried about. But I'm looking at all of some other technology, for example, like the spell checker, right? We are using it all the time. We just didn't realize. Does it make my spelling worse? Yes. Now, every time I cannot live without a spelling checker in a sense, right? But do I still have to learn spelling? Yes, I do, right? Because why? Because I'm still taking the classes, right? My teacher still teaching me when I was young. So I think this is really back to the education, right? Also, what kind of life we want to live, and what kind of system do we want to have. So this is really a dialogue. That's what I mean. Everyone can play a role here. You have this worry. Talk to your school district, right, engage with the teachers. You have the voice in that whole process as well. So technology is only a tool. How we use it, all of us have a role to play here as well. So I'm less worried about from technology development point of view. Technology should be more powerful, right, and more usable. It's up to the people to use it in a way meaningful. That's kind of my angle to this kind of challenges.
And I think it's going to be different when our kids get older, right? There's different laws and regulations for data and AI coming from every different country. How people use it today is very different, and it's going to constantly evolve, right? Like when I was in Korea, if you ask someone for their birthday, they're fine with giving you their birthday. Here in the US, do you know how many questions I get for just asking you for your birthday? Where is it going? Where are you going to log it? Was there data privacy related to it? It's very different, and I think it's going to continuously evolve.
There is a mic though.
I really want to ask this question because I'm Cindy from Columbia Climate School. So when I'm doing my coursework, sometimes I use Otter or ChatGPT. Like Otter is a speech-to-text generator. Like you can convert the voice to text. But I worry about the data security stuff. Like what if the AI, as Dr. Xiong said, if the AI is asking what problem you are going to solve, then whatever I input will become the knowledge of this AI. So what if I don't want to tell them what I'm thinking about? Like what are the problems that we exactly need to worry about, and what exactly is we don't have to worry about?
Good.
There's some technologies that can solve that kind of problems, right? And it involves a lot of like edge computing, right? And also the data you add in, like for example, like a RAG, right? Retrieval augmented intelligence, so generation. So you can put your data on the side on your edge device, and only based on your personalization you can do it. And right now, this is an issue actually a lot of tech companies are going to pay more attention to, right? So they will even assure you, your data is on your own device. It will not leave to other places, right? Of course, you have to trust some of the technology company. You still have the regulations to make sure they do whatever they say. But I think this is the right problem to ask. There's also a lot of research and a lot of solutions try to address that kind of issues as well. So
I'll add something to that as well. Yeah.
No, it's okay. All of us have the ability to turn off training. So please make sure whether you are using OpenAI or Gemini, Google Gemini, just please make sure to check that you do not want your data to be used in training, so it will not be used. And you can also doubly ensure that by having a paid subscription where paid subscription data is not.
Thank you. Yeah.
But also don't be too paranoid as well. If you should sometimes you should contribute your data as well. If it's nothing you think is very, very private, because that's how we develop technology as well, right? Everyone can contribute. Everyone need to help to regulate it as well.
Yeah, I think your other part of your question is in terms of what else to potentially worry about, and I just want to add that as well. So yes, you can run the models locally, on your own devices, and separate out things. But I think the other part we don't talk about as much is what if information is already in the model and is incorrect or should be deleted? We know that these models can't really forget, in fact. So if, let's just say, a birthday ends up in a large language model, you can suppress that piece of information, you can delete that piece of information, but the entire overall model has incorporated that data. So it's not gonna be totally forgotten, right? Like just like your synapses are still related to it if it was a part of a human brain. So there are other types of obstacles that we have in addition to just monitoring for issues and biases as we go along. RAG is probably a slightly better, I think, option because we can sort of batch process the data, so we can review the data that goes in first. But there are other instances where we're taking in data sort of continuously, and that data may not have gone through the proper analysis beforehand, right? So.
Okay, so thank you so much. I mean, I think you all agree that we can just stay on for the rest of the day. Thank you so much for the panel.